Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. And in today's video, we've got Gerry Turner, the first Golden Bachelor's first podcast, Grandpa's first podcast. Very exciting. He was on Bachelor Happy Hour with Joe and Serena, formerly Becca Kufrin, and formerly before that, Rachel Lindsay, and the list goes on. But now we've got the Golden Bachelor's first time chatting with all of us, and we get to hear what he has to say. I'm going to play about 7 of my favorite clips. It's like a warm bowl of soup. Nothing in Bachelor Nation has been hyped up as much as this, what's going to be going down with the Golden Bachelor. People are so excited. We have a thirst for normalcy and small town parenting and hearing the wisdom of a guy. You know, how sick are we of a 27-year-old with a ripped body rubbing his nipples in a shower going, I just wish I could find love. It's like, shut it, Tanner. It's time for Gerry. We're going to get into it right now. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals, patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind-the-scenes bonus content. If you want to be a part of the membership community and donate to the channel, you can do that for as little as $5 a month. It goes a long way, and I appreciate everyone who's joined the Patreon. And also Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast every afternoon. So I'm going to share with you guys what Gerry had to say. I got 7 different clips. I'm going to play some of my favorite moments from the podcast. And also, he was featured in Washington Post today. ABC's Golden Bachelor gives senior dating a rare moment in the spotlight. It was a fantastic article, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom of this article, you might find a familiar face there. That's right. We were featured in Washington Post today. Dave Neal, host of the daily podcast Bachelor Rush Hour, said he is very excited for the new iteration and will absolutely be watching, noting that the show's formula has gotten stale after more than a decade. Clearly, and this is exactly what I said, and this is what I mean, clearly contestants in their 50s, 60s, and 70s will have way more of a backstory to share than those in their early 20s. There is a very little representation of senior love in Hollywood, and I think it will feel super heartwarming if done right. If done right. He added, the younger viewers will have a lot to learn, too, about old-fashioned charm. That's right, folks. We are so excited for this. And by the way, just a huge shout out to everyone who made this possible. A few weeks ago, we were featured in Time Magazine. What's that? Time Magazine? Can you believe it? We were featured in Time Magazine, and then we were also featured today in Washington Post. So I want to thank everyone so much for just an incredible couple weeks of free press there. All right, here's what Gerry had to say.
Bachelor Nation, I'm Gerry, your new Golden Bachelor. I had the best time chatting with Joe and Serena about my upcoming journey, so check out our conversation on the latest episode of Bachelor Happy Hour tomorrow.
And then he's like, wait, what's a podcast? Who's Joe? Wait, you mean to tell me this guy got voted off in the first round? And he somehow hosts the lead show? Like, what a journey. All right, anyway, Joe is closer in age to Gerry than Nick is to, come on, what are we doing here? We're having fun. All right, so let's get into it. Here's a few different clips from Gerry's interview with grocery store Joe and Serena. Let's jump right into it.
So, the Golden Bachelor, Gerry is here. Gerry, how the hell are you?
I'm doing better now than I was this morning. There was a little bit of panic early on, but much better now. Thanks for asking.
What do you do when you start panicking? Do you have any breathing techniques?
Well, after I run out of peanut butter M&Ms, I'll just pretty much go to anything. I'll nervous eat.
This is literally my dad. Gerry, I love peanut butter M&Ms. I nervous eat. I got a whole stack of peanut butter M&Ms. I have them in one of those cereal things where you turn it and they just come in. You know what I mean?
Okay. You're a snacker. You're a nervous snacker.
Yeah, I am.
I'll tell you what. I've done a decent amount of interviews on this podcast and the prior one before, and I'm nervous for this one. I don't know. You know, this is a...
Nerves are the same feelings as excitement. So if you're ever nervous, I'm nervous for this job interview. Just frame it as I'm excited for this job interview because I'm excited for what can come next. I don't know.
This is a big
It's
thing.
New territory. You know, we've had Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, but you're the first ever Golden Bachelor ever to exist and for us to interview. So this is super exciting for us as well.
Well, thanks for that. That's pretty sweet of you. So Yeah, I'm excited for it as well. This is
All right, so we're going to fast forward a little bit, and we just love Gary. I love his accent. Well, I'm very excited. Thank you so much for having me. I don't even know what the show is, but we're excited to find love. So, like I said, we have 7 different moments we're going to share. You can go check out the full thing. It's not terribly long. It's about half an hour long, but let's go to the 5-minute mark here. And yeah, Gary, I mean, it's like, look, I want to know the behind the scenes. Who set up the camera for you? I don't mean to infantilize Gary here because he's in his early 70s, but the dude grew up before the internet existed. He's lived a little.
we didn't start hanging out or dating until.
He's talking about him and his late wife.
But yeah, it goes back to 1969, 1967, a long time ago.
Yeah.
So you don't have much experience in dating, do you?
I have very little experience in dating, and it's not something you can do on the run. You need a little bit of a primer with it, and it's been a tough process for me, I got to admit.
Yeah. So is that what led you to decide to be the Golden Bachelor? You're like, this is a little too tough, so let's just do all 30 women at once, and then we'll just fast track the process to finding a wife.
And we'll do it on TV too.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
So yeah, he hasn't dated since protest erupted in 1967, 50 years ago, because of the Vietnam War. How wild is that, folks, to put that into sort of context there? Absolutely. And I say grandfather, but actually my father would have been older than Gary here. I guess that means I'm getting old. But either way, age is... Look, I've heard this said about people that are aging, like, when you're physically aging, you're just showing signs of life. You've lived, you've experienced things. And sadly, with the algorithm and the internet, it's such a young person's game that we don't properly value our elders in the way that maybe we have in the past, when it was important to sit around the fire and hear the wisdom from the older generation and things like that. I would love if there was an app or maybe a sort of course, and maybe it does exist, that can help the older generation sort of on board, because like there's nothing better than finding an old person on TikTok. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on, Gary, get out there.
So that was the slippery slope's first step.
So you got produced.
It's a once in a lifetime, incredibly unique opportunity. So if you're an experiential person, it's understandable that you're like, okay, I'm kind of over this, but at the same time, like, tell me more.
So he was going to do The Bachelor. I'm going to just sum up what they were talking about. He was going to do the Golden Bachelor in 2020. Then the world shut down due to that old pandemic. And after that, they asked him recently, like in March or in the spring, hey, do you want to do this? And he said, no. And then they were like, come on. And he's like, all right, let's do it.
That's exactly what it was. And then, I recall hanging the phone up. I mean, I remember exactly in the house where I was and so forth. And I hang the phone up and I go, what did I just do? And then with every passing moment, I got more and more excited about the possibility. And then, of course, as things happened, phone calls and interviews and Zoom calls and everything. I mean, it's ramped up day by day by day.
Oh, yeah, because you're investing more and more time into it, and it starts to become more and more real.
So what's interesting is actually it seems like he hasn't filmed any of the episodes yet, and you would think that they might hold off on doing the interviews till they've got all of the things in post-production. Like, if something terribly goes wrong or you quit the show or you get sick, and, so many different things could happen. But maybe it's that the show realized how much positive PR they're getting. It's almost like the audience has been begging for non-24-year-olds. Now, look, hey, we all like to see a couple 24-year-olds sit in a hot tub and be sexy and ripped bodies and this and that. But I'm telling you, folks, if the show tells this story right, we're going to get a Golden Bachelor every year. No doubt this is going to be a reality. If they tell the story right, it's going to be, kind of like one of those shows, those shows you watch where it's like America's, home makeover, move that bus. And you're like, oh, they put a slide in for the kid, all that stuff. I mean, absolutely.
Their physical attributes. Are they pushing themselves? Are they refusing to give up?
If your wife's looking down on you now, what do you think she would say?
I think she would be very pleased. I have a picture of her in my walk-in closet. So every night I'm in there and I see her picture. It's the only one now that I have in the house. And in the mornings, I see her picture, and we talk. I'll make a brief comment, or
I'm actually surprised he doesn't have any other photos of his late wife in the house. Maybe it was too painful. I don't know, but I'm actually surprised.
Sometimes that talk is silent. But here lately, in the last couple of months, my question for her is always, so what do you think of this? Am I doing the right thing? And I really have strong positive feelings about it. I think she would be very happy. I think she's probably seen me fail at a number of attempted relationships and dating. And I really think she would be approve of this.
I mean, does it not feel like we are in the middle of a Nicholas Sparks novel or something? I mean, I struggle to not get emotional thinking of how fleeting time is, how fast time goes by. And a man who found his lover, he found his soulmate in 1967. She passes away 6 months after she retires, just 6 years ago. And now he's got plenty of life left to live. And he's looking for a co-pilot there. How beautiful. All right, I have 3 more clips for you guys. Thanks for hanging in here. But boy, the comment sections are just loving Gerry here.
Let's go daughters then. How about your daughters and grandkids? What are they saying?
Oh, they are over the top supportive of this.
Yeah.
The experience of having them in Los Angeles with me a couple of weeks ago when I was doing the promotions and so forth. I mean, we'd laugh and we'd cry, and it was just an amazing, amazing experience. And today, I have 2 daughters. Our granddaughters. One is 21, one is 16, and they're very adept at finding comments and the things online. And so they're firing me stuff nonstop about things that are being said.
Can you imagine that? I can just imagine his teen granddaughter being like, "Grandpa Gerry, you're famous now," and he's just living his life playing pickleball. He's like, "I got to go do a podcast." They're like, "You're doing podcasts now." Grandpa Gerry is the coolest. All right, 2 more clips.
I think an ideal date is focused heavily on conversation. Because I'm kind of thinking we're talking an early date, a first date, something like that, where, we can talk about priorities. We can talk about whether or not the person is interested in being married. There's many women of my age that look at marriage and say, it's kind of a complication. Do we need to be married to be committed to each other? And it's an interesting thought. I would want that.
And by the way, the Bachelor producers are like, "Gerry, you're getting married. I don't care what you say. You're getting married. Neil Lane's already bought the ring."
I'm breaking my nose here at home than I am anything about the show. It doesn't make me nervous. It makes me excited. I feel energized. I can't wait, of course, but I'm not feeling too nervous about it.
I feel like that's a good thing.
So yeah, he says, "I'm not feeling nervous." He's excited. And he also said maybe he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and maybe he should be more nervous. And maybe when all the cameras show up, he will be, but he's going to knock it out of the park. They really found a guy that seems to be really great on camera, really calm, and really, and they always say youth is, what do they say? Youth is wasted on the young. Is that the saying? What's the saying? Either way, point is that you don't know who you are when you're young. When you have all of the riches of the world, youth and exuberance and energy and all these young people things, you don't know who you are. And the older you get, you just start to feel okay in your own skin. And what a beautiful course of life that is. And we are so excited. Let me know, are you as excited as I am for this show? All right, leave a comment, and we'll be back with more content right after this.